All right, good afternoon, commissioners and members of the public. I'm going to convene this meeting with roll call. Commissioner Alvarez. Present. Commissioner Field will be joining us momentarily. Commissioner Fuentes.
Present.
Commissioner Levine will be joining us momentarily. Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Mack.
Present.
Commissioner Mesa is present. Commissioner Murray.
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Present.
Commissioner Stein. Present. Commissioner Thomas will be joining us momentarily. Commissioner Yap will be joining us momentarily. We do have a quorum. Commissioners, I'm going to read from our motion on ex parte disclosures and then go around the dais. An ex parte communication is a communication between any member of the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission and any elected city officer or member of any elected city officer staff regarding a matter pending before the commission. An ex parte communication does not include any communication that takes place on the record during an official public meeting. The requirements of this section do not apply to communication between a commission member and a member of the city attorney's office providing legal counsel. A commissioner shall disclose any ex parte communication at the next commission meeting following the communication. Any off-the-record communication that takes place during an official public meeting shall be disclosed before the adjournment of the meeting. Disclosure shall include the time and date of the communication, the form of the communication, the approximate duration of the communication if applicable, the identity of the persons who participated in the communication, and a summary of the content of the communication. The summary shall include a general description of the types of charter reforms communicated. Commission members or commission staff may ask a commission member to resubmit communication disclosures that are not sufficiently detailed. The Charter Reform Commission staff shall maintain a public database on the Charter Reform Commission website where a log of ex parte communications can be found. The charter staff shall update this log within 72 hours of an ex parte communication disclosure. Failure to comply with the requirements of this section shall subject the commission member to potential censure by the commission, and the commission may resolve to recommend the appropriate appointing authority to initiate removal of the commission member. A violation of this section shall not render any action, commission or commission member invalid. Commissioner Mack, do you have any ex parte disclosures to report since our last meeting?
None.
Commissioner Andrades?
None.
Commissioner Stein?
None.
Commissioner Mesa has none. Commissioner Murray? Commissioner Sanchez?
None.
Commissioner Fuentes?
None.
Thank you, commissioners. We're now going to move on to public comment. As a reminder to the public and to the commission, we'll do 30 minutes of in-person public comment, followed by 30 minutes of virtual public comment. If there are any remaining time after virtual public comment, we'll come back to do further public comment in the room. Staff is pulling the list. If I can get a count of about how many people have signed up.
We have 30 members of the public, just about, I see crossed off me, oh gosh. Yes, so yeah, about 30 people who signed up.
We'll do 1 minute and 30 seconds of item and general public comment.
Okay, fantastic. Alrighty, folks, for those of you here in the room, I'm gonna call 3 names at a time. Please queue up and sit up at the front desk when you're called. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. I won't be giving a 30-second timer. I'll just be saying when your time is up. Alrighty, let me start the clocks here. First, can I get Linda, Kay, and Brandy? I think Brandy does something. Linus. I mean, I have terrible penmanship also of everyone, so this is not consistent.
Take it first.
Alrighty, Linda, I think everyone test that mic. So one of those mics.
Hello.
Okay, can you test yours, Kate?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Maybe they fixed the bad mic that was up here. Okay, Linda, and begin.
Thank you. I'm Linda Gravani, Chair of the Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils.
As you probably know, the Valley was a loud voice behind the secession movement. Neighborhood councils were added to the charter and soon after the Valley Alliance of Neighborhood Councils was created. After 23 years, we still meet monthly. Thank invited Ms. Vanessa twice to hear directly from the Valley leaders. Unfortunately, missed both meetings. So I am here today representing the leaders of all 34 neighborhood councils who represent 2 of the 4 million stakeholders in the city of LA. Since you can't be experts in all areas of our government, you should rely on those who know what changes would be beneficial. The Lank volunteered to create a unified document for you to consider. It includes contributions from the entire neighborhood council system. We are the experts on the neighborhood council system and totally support all the recommendations provided by the Lank and BOM and highly recommend you put forward those recommendations in its entirety. And thank you for your service to our city.
Thank you, Kay is next, Kay, go.
Okay, the neighborhood councils are broken. We're asking you to start the healing process. We know the mayor and city council don't want us fixed. We're looking to you for some relief. Please don't let us continue in our hollow fashion. We are asking you to consider all of our recommendations. It wouldn't surprise us to not get everything. But if our recommendations are not each considered for its merits, we stay where we are. We prioritize being able to speak to any level of government about our neighborhood's concerns. We prioritize time to present CISs to our own city council and its committees. We prioritize having an election every 2 years, not in our recommendations, but we ask for a motion. We prioritize fixing the neighborhood council budget. We prioritize being able to provide advice to all departments, including those of elected officials. We are counting on you. The budget advocates and Lank are asking you to consider the budget advocates 7 budget recommendations for the city. It's going to take more than a 2-year budget to fix the problems that we have. Thank you. Oh, and also, I have a letter to go out to the commissioners, so.
We'll take, thank you so much, Kay, Brandy.
Yeah, Brianna advised me that I have to say that he said issues.
Go.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Will all NC members here please raise their hands? We are unpaid volunteers sacrificing personal time for a meeting schedule at an hour that excludes most of our colleagues. It is a palpable disconnect to claims due last week. This commission cares about corruption and race and gender representation while initially ignoring the Lank report, which represents months of public deliberation and almost 200 community impact statements. Unlike the city council, we do not respond to campaign support obligations. We're held to a high standard of mandatory training and conflict review just to maintain our right to vote, keeping our focus solely on the benefit of our communities. If you care about representation, we must focus on neighborhood councils. While the city hall often operates a theoretical template with knee-jerk crisis responses, neighborhood council provides practical assessments based on real-world local consequences. This report codifies NCs as election advisors and secures essential tools that guarantee 5-minute speaking queue, a codified 30-day notification requirements for all apartment requirements and regulatory decisions, and to ensure we have a practical window to weigh in. By accepting this report, we adopt a blueprint that respects the actual local conditions for the people of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next 3 are Jamie, Jennifer. And if you know who's after Jennifer Clark, that'd be helpful. It looks like last name Klein. Okay. I can see the Klein, Heath, okay, there it is. Jamie, Jennifer, Heath, your penmanship has gone down since.
No, it's not.
Brandy will have to see if we had the same grade school teachers taught us. Alrighty, Jamie, go.
A young girl was murdered by bullies at a high school in Reseda last week. The city attorney says we don't have the right to speak to LAUSD. MRCA wants to turn half of our only park of bathrooms into a water recapture swamp, but the city attorney says we can't speak with them. Neighborhood councils need a codified right to speak, whether that's in city council, at a commission, or to another government body that affects our community. So we're asking, please, support the BOM and Lank proposals. Do not dispose of the voices of your community. Instead, restore them. Restore the NCs to do the necessary work. I've heard a lot of arguments in this body regarding equity in neighborhood councils, and frankly, I agree with them. We're not representative in the way that we should be, in the way that we can be, in the way that we will be if you act. Neighborhood councils are a reflection of the people who join them. If you keep them tediously bureaucratic and voiceless, you will only get those with the luxury of wasting their time for a title. Our budgets coerce unpaid labor out of necessity. Our voices are held back by ability to travel, to get off work, to secure child and elder care. The system that the city built and upholds advantages those with the most privilege. So fund our system, bring back telephonic comment, restore the neighborhood councils.
Thank you, Jamie, Heath. No, Jen, sorry, Jen.
We'll work with you.
Okay, hey,
My name is Jennifer Clark. I am for identification purposes, I'm the current vice president for North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, but I'm speaking as an individual and resident of North Hollywood Council District 2. Lived there for almost 20 years, and I'm grateful that the neighborhood council system was added to the charter. Well, before that time, they have been doing their part to try and represent me until I could join the efforts 3 years ago. I was very angry when I heard about the ad hoc committee that had said that they wanted to dispose of everything that Mike had come up with. Which I felt was actually quite mild. I think the recommendations are thoughtful, and you'll hear CIS later on it. From our group, but I wanted to talk about the representation where not only in the like recommendations where there are things to support, protect the neighborhood council, but they're thoughtful toward every other department. Because that's what we are trying to represent, the Angelinos in our area, is to actually care about every department and make LA better. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm gonna yield my time since I get to speak later with the CIS for late arrivals, and if there's time later, I'll come back.
Okay, oh boy. Randy, I need your help on this one.
Rob, what? I actually.
Us.
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 I apologize.
Ross, then Jennifer, Good, then Goody, and then,
I'm just gonna stand here.
yeah, I think this is your last one.
Line Mars.
Lionel, okay. Hold on, Ross, let me start the timer and go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ross Weisschopper with Fair Rep LA, and we are here today to discuss how we can ensure greater opportunity for public input into our budgeting process. And we've done that, we've tried to do that, but we're limited in our ability to do that because of timing. The fact that our budget is on the cycle that it's on means that most of that work gets done before council ever has an opportunity to weigh in. None of that is in the public's view. And then we get this big budget that's dropped on us. We have to run like mad to get it done. Maybe that's not only the best way to do this. Maybe we do need to look at the idea of a 2-year budget cycle, and maybe we do need to look at shifting the mayor's proposed budget much earlier in the process, so that the council has more time to evaluate the mayor's budget. And don't take that from me, because everything I just said, word for word, is what Paul Corian, former council president, said in council chambers in November 2023. Listen to him, to our leaders telling you we need more public input, more time to deliberate, more transparency. Give city council what they're asking for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
She's stuck in traffic still
Okay. Lionel,
on
Nope.
Zoom.
Also in traffic.
John, Man, Amos, and Tess. John, Amos, and Tess.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Mann. I serve as the president for Woodland Hills Burner Center Neighborhood Council. On behalf of our 23-seat board and the 70,000 residents, 30,000 workers, and many thousand more stakeholders who learn, pray, and play in our diverse and inclusive community, I urge you to adopt and forward to the City Council the Lang and Bonk recommendations for charter changes to be placed before the voters of the City of Los Angeles. We contribute to these recommendations and believe they are the best way to ensure that the communities we represent are not just heard, but amplified. In City Hall and in our advocacy with LAUSD, Metro, the county, and other state and federal agencies, 99 neighborhood councils, millions of Angelinos, No one is closer to people than we are. If it's not your neighborhood council, then who will uplift the people's voice?
Thank you. And then, Amos.
My name is Amos Marlowe. I'm the vice president of the Reseda Neighborhood Council, and I'm providing these comments as an individual. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours have been spent by the NCs listening to our communities. And I strongly support the reform recommendations put forth by both Blank and Wong. Specifically, the creation of an Office of Transparency and Accountability, because we need an independent watchdog. This office is direly needed to restore the faith in the citizens of our beloved city. Additionally, I support Bong's recommendations to increase the number of commissioners from 7 to 9, with one of those seats appointed by the neighborhood councils themselves, and the other additional commissioner to be appointed by the commission itself. These respective reforms will demonstrate to all Angelinos that you are listening, and they're listening, you're hearing their concerns and taking actions to improve transparency and accountability within our beloved city. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Tess, after Tess, I think it's Stacy, Max, Clark, and Hannah. Stacy, Max, and Hannah. Go ahead, Tess.
My name is Tess Taylor and I yield my time. I'll be speaking later during the community impact statement portion of the agenda. Thanks.
Thank you. Max, Hannah, Stacy. Or Stacy first. Stacy's not here. Max. Max, go.
Hello, commissioners. First, thank you for your time serving on this commission. The task. I was a volunteer moderator for the 2 single-day civic assemblies with Rewrite LA and PDELA. As an assembly moderator, it was my charge to remain content agnostic. Today, as a community member, I want to say I feel represented by these assemblies. Nonetheless, I want to say how frustrating it was to try to dig deeply into an issue in a single day. While funding full assemblies is not cheap, and maybe not within the powers of this commission, what is the alternative? Consider this public input method right now. There's 90 seconds, mostly spent saying, hello, thank you, or fuck you, really the best forum for representative deliberation. At the assemblies, it was remarkable and beautiful to watch the diversity of LA, even in a short time span, discuss complex ideas, disagree calmly, and ultimately find some shared values. I urge you and everyone in this room to take civic assemblies seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Weinstein, and I'm counsel to the Coalition of LA City Unions. I speak today on behalf of the coalition. First, the coalition notes that it preserves its right to meet and confer or meet and consult over any changes to the charter. By my comments today, or any comments by a coalition leader or member, we do not intend to waive any of our rights related to changes or their effects. We have repeatedly requested the city meet and confer with the coalition over such changes, including most recently by letter on January 7th, and we await the city's compliance with these obligations. Second, I wish to speak to the areas in which the commission is considering to reform the charter as to the civil service. As to the commission's consideration of expansion to exempt positions, I'd like to note that the coalition's experience is that the city already over-relies on exempt positions. Coalition unions have had to litigate this issue in the past before the Employee Relations Board, resulting in a hearing officer determination that the city was intentionally excluding employees from the civil service system. The coalition is concerned that by expanding the number of exempt positions, the city will continue to undermine the civil service system by utilizing exempt positions rather than placing individuals in appropriate civil service positions. As to the commission's consideration of changes to examinations, the coalition sees no need to change the competitive examination language. In multiple circumstances, the coalition and city have agreed to interpret this language broadly, not strictly, allowing for many applicants to be eligible for consideration. There's nothing to prohibit this sort of broad interpretation. And so
Thank you so much. Our next 3 speakers are Steve, Cockroft, Matt, and Marlene. Steve, Matt, and Marlene. All right, Steve, go.
All right, thank you. Steve Cockroft. I am the Director of Foster Marketing and Research at SEIU 721. And I also serve as the chair of the LA City Coalition. Our unions, SEIU, AFSCME, operating engineers, Teamsters, Lana, and building trades represent 24,000 civilian workers in the city. And when I speak, I just want to make sure to reference our council's advice that this should not be interpreted as targeting. We have for a long time defended passionately rights and protections that are in the civil service system, and our members feel just as passionately about making sure that they do not get trifled with. They are a system that protects workers, that incentivizes the city to work within its nature to train and uplift and make sure that the work that is performed on their behalf is done in a way that excludes fairness, excludes favoritism, and make sure that there's a fair system for resolution. To echo some of the concerns of our council, I want to make sure that the commission understands we've seen some of the things that have come forward. Most of them are not necessary. We have developed programs like Targeted Local Hire and Bridge to Jobs, which take advantage of our current structure in order to bring in workers into the civil service system. We have worked with the city to make sure that we take innovative ways to apply tests.
Thank you so much. Matt?
Good afternoon, committee members. Thank you for your time today. My name is Matthew Maldonado, the Director of Pasadena District Council 36. We proudly represent close to 10,000 city employees. Our participation here doesn't waive or otherwise substitute the city's requirement to meet and confer with the subjects, over these subjects. We strongly object to the city's personnel department's recommendation to change several charter code sections that will negatively impact frontline workers in the city. Many are here today. If you're a city employee, stand up, let them see you. Thank you. We oppose the proposed changes in section 1001, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1009, 1013, 1014. By rejecting these modifications, we can protect the rights of these workers to meet and confer over the changes that impact their jobs, the job classifications, their pay, and treatment of our city employees. I'll be submitting in writing our formal objections. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. After Marlene is Lori, Athena, and Rob. Lori, Athena, and Rob, you are to be on next. Go ahead, Lori. Marlene.
Good afternoon, EAA, Marlene Fonseca. First and foremost, we have not met and conferred on these proposals. They have no actual draft amendments, no draft language, no data, no justification for supporting these, what I'm calling ideas, suggestions, as Matt called them. As they stand today, EAA opposes all four. On exemptions, the city doesn't fill all 150 existing exempt positions. Why expand them? These positions often mirror EAA civil service classifications, except they lack the protections, and they're not able to promote into civil service classifications. We just saw 6 exempt employees be laid off with 10 to 30 years of service, with no succession plan and a loss of institutional knowledge. This creates instability, not modernization. On examination, the charter already allows flexibility. We don't see the need to change any language. On the changes to assessment and ranking, absolutely not. City and military service are not loopholes. They reflect merit, loyalty, institutional knowledge. Military service is public service, and it shows merit. I can't believe that they even would suggest that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Removing those weakens the definition of merit. And on transferring authority from the Civil Service Commission, no. Independent oversight is a safeguard, not a delay. We want involvement from the onset, we don't want to fight our way through an appeal process. EAA stands ready to engage, but we will not cut civil service protections. We require transparency, data, conversations, and lawful bargaining. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lori.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Lori Candinas. I'm a business rep with ASME District Council 36. And I sit here today we are opposed to all the personnel changes that have been suggested until the city has met their obligation to meet and confer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Athena.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Athena Frost, and I'm a lead museum guide at Griffith Observatory, Union Steward for ASME Local 3090. I am calling to urge you to strike the 1040 hour cap from Charter Section 1001. As a steward, I see this cap as a tool of forced poverty for 10,000 city employees. The city is acting as a gig economy exporter using the charter to deliberately keep dedicated staff from earning a living. We are not seasonal employees. We have colleagues who have been employed for over 20 years, trapped in a cycle of poverty. Crucially, removing this cap is cost neutral to the city. Many of us are already full-time employees. The city is already paying for medical benefits and pension contributions. This cap does not save the city money on benefits. It only serves to stop us from working, forcing us into financial instability for no operational reason. We must also confront the systemic racism of this structure, whose exempt categories are relics of discriminatory era designed to maintain a second-class workforce without security, a burden that falls disproportionately on our diverse staff. The voters of LA do not want world-class institutions run on forced poverty. Please strike the cap from section 1001. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, after Rob, please queue up Nick, Larry, and Michael. Nick, Larry, and Michael after Rob. Rob, go.
Rob Vaughn, I'd like to remind the powers that be. Candidate Karen Bass promised she would reform the neighborhood council system. And there will be hell to pay if the reasonable reforms in front of you are completely disposed of again. Moving on to a 2-year budget, this is a great example of why I'm not sure I'll even support what you recommend to the council. The Budget and Personnel Committee advanced a comprehensive set of reforms to the budget process, and the ad hoc committee disposed of almost all of them. You are making a bad situation worse. As is, council does not have enough time to cover the budget, and now you want them to consider a 2-year budget in the exact same window. That is insane. I have followed and participated in every budget cycle since 2017, and I didn't show up last year for the first time because I didn't want to show up an hour early and wait for 2 hours in the sun just to maybe get a chance to get in the building. A reminder for Chair Mesa, stuck outside with everybody else was a bunch of your brothers and sisters in labor who wanted to get in the door so they could plead for their jobs. Give them some space.
Thank you, Nick. Nick.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. I want to start by acknowledging the labor partners in this room. Civil service protections exist for a reason. They prevent patronage, favoritism, and political retaliation. Those values matter. But we also have to confront a simple reality. It should not take many months for a qualified resident of LA, especially a unionized one, to get hired into a city job. Long timelines, rigid exam cycles, and procedural bottlenecks are not work protections. They're barriers for working people who want to serve their city. Modernizing examination rules, rebalancing seniority with merit, and streamlining routine approvals are not attacks on labor. They are updates to a system built for a different era. We can preserve due process and collective bargaining while making hiring faster, clearer, and more accessible to everyday Angelinos. And furthermore, recommendations that are presented here, while I don't support all of them, good ideas didn't have time to be put into here, which is why I also support periodic charter review. But more than just the 10 years that's a periodic one, I support the recommendation by Unrig LA to have a standing charter review office whose whole job is to collect pain points that prevent the city from operating normally or in the way that it intends to do so, especially for those that want to be hired in the city or are union partners. So to enhance that, I would recommend having more frequent charter reform commissions, and then also a standing body which collects that information.
Thank you so much. Larry.
Good afternoon, my name is Larry Gates. I'm the president of ASME 3090, representing 6,000 city employees. ASME objects to the personnel department's recommendations to change several charter code sections that will negatively impact frontline workers in the city. Section 1001, we oppose all efforts to make more workers exempt from civil service. This can lead to favoritism and even a decrease in service quality. Instead of bypassing the rules, LA City can make compensation and benefits more competitive to improve recruitment. Section 1006 and 1009, altering these provisions will negatively impact internal recruitment. By saying no to these changes, LA City can instead invest in its current workforce for the future, uphold civil service standards. The city already has the ability to run current recruitment when it lacks internal qualified candidates. Sections 1003, 1004, 1013, and 1014. Changes to these provisions neglects our rights to meet and confer. By rejecting these modifications, we can protect our rights to meet and confer over changes that impact our job classification, pay, and treatment for our colleagues. Please reject the personnel department's proposed changes to these sections that I just stated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Michael?
I want to thank the Charter Reform Commission for taking an interest in ex parte communications, or as they're probably called, serial meeting violations, because no other legislative body seems to have the slightest interest in them. The problem is, it's not really your responsibility to set up guidelines for dealing with potential violations. It's the district attorneys, and they are simply ignoring public misconduct in many areas. I know this is true because I don't have my fingers in my ears. The problem is so bad that the only solution is for officials like you to publicly ask the governor to send military level investigators from the National Guard to look at it. Perhaps you think this is overkill. It is an overkill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so Conrad, Sarah, and Vicky. Conrad, Sarah, and Vicky, please queue up.
Commissioners, hello again. We're in the home stretch. I certainly know. On November 8th, I addressed your Better Government Committee, at which time I said there is no department tasked with advocating for neighborhood councils' budgets. And I know you've heard this from a few other people, and what I want to know is, has anyone contradicted me in those months since November 8th? And I know you can't answer me now, but maybe in discussion, you can let me know if someone said that's not the case. Because I know that city clerk sets our budget, but they don't advocate for us. And let's look at the facts. $50,000 at the start of the NC system, cut to $42,000, cut to $32,000, cut to $25,000. Does that sound like anyone's advocating for our budgets? So you have two proposals, one from Lake, which is to assign to those two new commissioners the job of looking into and advocating for our budgets, or the proposal from Bonk, which is to set our budget at 0.5% of the general fund. You might not like one as much as you like the other, but if you don't do anything, the problem that was created in 1999 will persist, and you won't have done your job with regards to neighborhood councils. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Simon. I'm the chair of the Echo Park Neighborhood Council. I will be speaking later on our community impact statement, but just want to take the time as an individual to say that I support all of the Lane and Bonk recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Vicky.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Vicky Beza, and I'm a proud member of Unite Your Local 11. I live and work in Los Angeles, and nearly 5,000 of my union brothers and sisters work for contractors and leasees at LAX and Port. The decisions you make here directly affect workers in our communities. We urge you to extend all terminal concession contracts, including food service, passenger lounge, and retail leases from the proposal to raise the lease approval threshold to $5 million. These involve valuable public assets and significant public revenue. We also strongly oppose developing planning authority to proprietary departments like LAWA or the Harbor Department. Zoning administration should be applied consistently across the city. Public agencies should not be permitted to operate under a separate planning system or grant themselves their own zoning approvals. Planning decisions shape our community. They must remain subject to the city's established uniform review process. Public assets belong to the people. Please provide transparency, consistency, and meaningful oversight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have time for one more in the room speaker, Jolene. Jolene, your thing.
Good afternoon. My name is Joellen Mallard, and I am a proud member of the Unite Your Local 11. I live and work in Los Angeles, and I'm here because decisions about public assets like LAX and the port affects all of us. Nearly 5,000 of my brothers and sisters work for contractors and leasees at these public assets. When proposals are made to raise the contract threshold to $5 million, it may sound administrative, but from a worker's perspective, oversight matters. These contracts involve valuable public property and major revenue streams. They should not move forward with less transparency or accountability. We understand LAWA has proposed raising the threshold of leases requiring board approval to $5 million. We urge you to exempt all terminal concession contracts, including food service, passenger lounge, and retail leases from this provision. City Council must retain real authority over public assets. Speed should never come at the expense of oversight. These airports and ports belong to the people of Los Angeles. Please protect meaningful public review. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. Alrighty, we're gonna transition to virtual public comment. Just give us a second to get that ready. Microphone.
That's one of our like who's got dropping is there, they still go.
What else?
One of our ones, dropping is there.
Yeah, we'll come back and do this. If there's some, we gotta see how many speakers left.
Oh, we're gonna do it from Brianna's speakers and the mic is already.
Oh, perfect.
I just made it.
Awesome. Even better. Okay. Okay, perfect. Hold on, I'm gonna call folks, if you can hear us online, you can. We're gonna call you, your whole period of time again, it's gonna be a minute and a half. Let's see here, our first three folks are Tareen, Ricardo, and Philip. Tareen, Ricardo, and Philip. It's great when it's in text and not handwritten. Tareen, we're taking you off of mute here. Tareen, hopefully you can hear us. Tareen? Tareen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, not. Yeah. Okay, 1 second, we just have to change the microphone. That's all. We're sitting on the floor. Oh, sorry about that. 1 second. We love this room. We don't really. Okay. Tareen, can you hear us?
You can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Tareen, a minute and a half. Go.
Okay. Torian Spittle, League of Women Voters of Greater Los Angeles, CD 13. Good afternoon. At its February 26th meeting, this commission voted not to move forward the proposal to require minimum qualifications for the position of city controller. It is disappointing and puzzling that you would not think it was imperative for the person managing the fiscal health of the second largest city in the US to have at minimum a background in finance or accounting. I wouldn't hire someone to do my taxes that did not have at least a CPA. Why wouldn't you want the same thing for the person dealing with much greater complexities of the city's financial well-being? Please reconsider your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, get back to my list. Ricardo, we are taking you off of mute. Hopefully you can hear us, Ricardo.
Yes, I can.
Okay, Ricardo, go.
Good afternoon, commissioners and fellow neighborhood council members. My name is Ricardo Marquez for the South Central Neighborhood Council, representing the franchise stakeholders, immigrants, and the intersectionalities that embody South Central. As a Gen Z NC member, I hereby echo all of my neighborhood council's advocacy to meet Angelinos and us in the middle. And I also respectfully urge the incorporation of Lang and Bonk recommendations. I appreciate the consideration and your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Security set. Let's see, Philip. Philip is next. After Philip is gonna be Gene, Hunter, and Lionel, who's in the room also. Gene, Hunter, and Lionel. Philip?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go.
Oh, great. So as noted, just one question. Do we get 5 minutes to speak to a community impact statement that has not been heard before?
Yes, is this a CIS or is this a public comment?
Excuse me?
Is this a CIS or a public comment?
It's a community impact statement.
Okay, then we'll call for you later, Philip.
Okay.
So stay in the queue.
Thank you.
Okay, after Philip is Gene.
Hello, council members. My name is Jean, and I was a participant in the Rewrite LA Mini Assemble that worked on the proposed charter preamble. So our group brought together residents from across Los Angeles to reflect on the values that should guide our city government. A preamble helps define those shared principles such as accountability, transparency, and service to the public. So I truly encourage the council to carefully consider the work of the mini assemble and the voice of the Angelinos who participated in this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's see, our next is Hunter. Hunter, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go.
My name is Hunter Futow, and this past January, I was randomly selected as a delegate for Rewrite LA's Civic Assembly on the Charter Preamble. I helped author the report we are presenting today. I'm here to ask you, commissioners, to recommend in your final report that the city make deliberative democracy a permanent part of LA's governance process. This is why. Last weekend, I helped moderate another civic assembly about city council. I saw people from complete opposite sides of the political spectrum agree about politics. I was flabbergasted, but it gave me hope. Civic assemblies are laboratories for democracy. In them, I've seen people from all walks of life tackle complex questions about governance and find common ground to build on. Government reform needs legitimacy and public buy-in, and a deliberative democratic approach can help establish that. I urge you to include in your final report a recommendation that the city establish an ongoing civic assembly process for future reforms and major decisions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. After Hunter is Lionel.
Lionel Mara speaking as an individual. I'd like to echo Hunter, thank you so much. I participated in a civic assembly in Los Angeles. I thought it was a fantastic opportunity for our community engagement with a diverse group of participants. It was enriching to witness various perspectives coming together to discuss important issues. These gatherings can play a vital role in addressing the unique challenges faced by Angelinos and fostering a sense of community. Number two, civil service. The civil service protections are essential to maintaining a fair, professional, and politically independent city workforce. These protections ensure that employees like myself can do their jobs without fear of retaliation, whether from elected officials, department leadership, or other city entities. Strengthening these safeguards is critical to preserving integrity and stability in our government. Civil service reform should not weaken worker protection. It should modernize outdated systems like exams, while reinforcing fairness, transparency, and accountability. By updating the charter to reflect today's workforce needs, the commission can help build a city government that is more responsive, more equitable, and better equipped to serve all Angelinos. Number three, regarding the LANC, I want to give a shout out to Jamie York from the Reseda Neighborhood Council for her great CISs. She has done a great job. Shout out to Fair Rep LA and Rick LA for their informative educational at the civic assembly. And this is what civic engagement, this is what democracy is all about, civic engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. After Lionel's Jacob. Jacob, we are taking you off mute. Jacob, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Go for it.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jacob Wasserman. I am a former board member and stakeholder committee member of the Northwestwood Neighborhood Council, though I'm speaking for myself. I wanted to speak to the representativeness of neighborhood councils before we talk about empowering them. They are sort of fundamentally unrepresentative, unfortunately, despite how diverse they are. We need to have neighborhood council elections consolidated with November elections. The county can handle that and put it on the main ballot, and then the city clerk can mail supplemental ballots to workers and non-citizens. We need to have redistricting for neighborhood councils. They have districts within them that are not representative because they're disproportionate. We need to have mandatory self-affirmation because it is harder and harder in this country for trans people and immigrants to get IDs. And we need to distribute funding according to how many people they represent, not just an even number by neighborhood council. And so I'm supportive of some of the changes that LANC is proposing, especially ones like city council members can't walk into a back room and mandating phone public comment. Thank you, by the way, for having it today. But other cities like Raleigh, North Carolina, have actually abolished their neighborhood council-like systems because they found them fundamentally unrepresentative. And so I don't want to hold up are already delayed planning and permitting timelines because we have bodies that don't represent their neighborhood that are stalling it. And so I think you should.
Speaker is Jester, it's Jester, Jay, and Marianne are our next three speakers. Jester, we're taking you off mute. Jester, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, go.
Awesome. Good afternoon to the Charter Reform Commission. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Jester Jersey, and I administer the Vote 16 California X Last Tour account. But I'm speaking as an individual today on Agenda Item 3B, Community-Driven and City-Supported Budgeting Processes. These are several reasons to adopt this budgeting model. First, it directly empowers residents to weigh in on issues they would like to see public funds allocated to. Second, it addresses community needs because projects undertaken are from community requests, not guesses by local government on what they think they may want. Third, it allows more government transparency because residents are able to be part of the budgetary process rather than wonder how the funds are spent, which, as we've seen in recent findings from City Controller Mejia's office, is relevant to Angelenos. Finally, the budgeting model builds trust because it is through direct input from the very people who have paid their taxes, making the budgetary process more democratic through participation. Thank you again for your work and your consideration.
Thank you so much. Jay, you're up next. Jay, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. My name is Jay Handel. I'm the treasurer of West LA Sawtelle Neighborhood Council and the co-chair of the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates. First, blanket statement, we should support the Lank and Bonk and Budget Advocate requests to go into the charter for a vote. It's critically important that the neighborhood council system not only get boosted up, but it needs to really show what it can do. And quite frankly, we're the bridge to the stakeholders and the elected officials. The budget advocates spend thousands of hours writing reports, digging into the services that we're losing and the budget that's going out there, going out and doing town halls, meeting with our constituents, meeting with neighborhood councils. That's the process of getting to our people right now. And we're the best value in the city. You have over 1,800 volunteers who are elected volunteers who get paid zero to get yelled at, screamed at, and degraded, and at the same time hang in there every month to try and bridge the gap between the officials and the stakeholders. Please take a good look at those things you were going to dismiss out and put them into your recommendations. Not that I believe the city council is going to do anything about it, but I would ask you to at least put it in your recommendations.
Thank you so much. Marianne, we're taking you off of mute. Marianne, can you hear us?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Marianne King. Been involved with the neighborhood council since their inception. As a former planning deputy for Council District 3, as a retired city planner, a former board member for Chatsworth Neighborhood Council, and a current stakeholder. I wholeheartedly support Lank recommendations. I will tell you right now, what I've seen in the last 5 years is a horrible manipulation of reducing public participation and providing public information. I'll give you an example. Land use issues. Neighborhood councils do need to have a voice at every level of government. You know why? Because our neighborhood council is silent. Silent on a lot of land use issues like Senate, state bills, and assembly bills. How do I know? Because I've begged and pleaded for something to be brought to a committee meeting and then be brought to the city council. And when do they do it? At the last minute, if they do it at all. So this is a gross negligence on the city council's part and really not representing us. And so we need this right. And I would also recommend that the city council president should not also be able to be the chair of the Rules and Government Committee.
Our next speaker is Amy. Our next three speakers are Amy, Jennifer, and Laura May. Amy, Jennifer, and Laura May. Amy, you should be off the mute now. Amy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the personnel department seems to be addressing the removal or modification of testing as part of the hiring process. Requiring testing when hiring is discriminatory. The testing requirement was made in the 1920s before there were significant advancements made for identifying and helping the neurodivergent community, which wasn't until the 90s. The charter is not equipped to handle accommodations or specify what kinds of accommodations should be allowed. But furthermore, neither are employers. The only industry that is capable of handling accommodations well in any capacity is education. Additionally, qualifying for testing accommodations requires documentation, something that's usually created in childhood. When it comes to neurodivergency, white kids, especially white boys, are significantly more likely to get accurate diagnosis and appropriate help, which means that the neurodivergent community of color is hit doubly hard, adding to the layers of discrimination they already face. When you get rid of the testing requirement, hiring managers will complain about the quality of people getting hired dropping, and this is because the existing pool of managers is lacking appropriate neurodiversity. Additionally, give the council more time for budget deliberations and feed the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jennifer, we're taking you off of mute. Hopefully you can hear us, Jennifer. Jennifer, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Go.
Great. My name is Jennifer DeVore. I'm the president of the Greater Wilshire Neighborhood Association, Neighborhood Council, and I'm speaking for myself as the GWNC will be presenting a CIS later on. I fully support the carefully crafted LANC recommendations for charter reform. The Neighborhood Council system provides a super local way for communities to engage with the City of LA and to make their opinions and concerns heard by the City Council. And yet, despite this great work we do, unpaid, neighborhood councils are being willfully starved of resources. The LANC recommended changes would go a long way toward ensuring the health of the Neighborhood Council system. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Laura is next. After Laura is Barbara, Jonathan, and Chantel. Barbara, Jonathan, and Chantel. Laura, can you hear us?
Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm a lead guide at Griffith Observatory and a union steward. I'm a half-time employee of the City of Los Angeles. Now, 10 of my colleagues are here with me today, and we are representing a large majority of employees at Griffith Observatory and at large in the city who want the 1040 hours cap to be lifted. Now, according to the city charter, half-time employees are eligible to work up to full-time hours, calculated at 280 hours per year. However, the city has arbitrarily decided that only civil service half-time employees can work that many hours, while other half-time employees like me are limited to 1040 hours, the same as part-time intermittent employees. Now, it requires complex scheduling from the observatory to accommodate all of those other jobs, while the city has refused to have more schedulers. It requires our management to constantly scramble to hire new employees instead of relying on the unused capacity of those of us who would like to work up to full-time hours, but are unreasonably limited from doing so. And as a personal example out of thousands, I'm a career astronomer and the co-host of what must be one of the only hour-long monthly science shows ever made by City of LA employees, and the 1040 cap may prevent me from running our show if I exhaust my hours due to the variable hours required for show creation, which means the cap is also harming the representation of women in science at a time when science and education has been absolutely gutted. Please lift the 1040 cap.
Thank you so much. Barbara is next, and Chantel, if you can hear me, we're going to come back to you on the list anyway, so you don't have to move to. Barbara.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go.
Okay, great. Barbara Brody, Land Use Chair at the Westside Neighborhood Council. Speaking as an individual, our council will be sending a CIS shortly. Number one, I support the preamble that's being recommended for the charter. I think it's an important element and should be given attention. Two, city attorney, whether one or two positions must be elected. There is such an importance for the city to be protected against liabilities and to get good advice that is not colored by politics. Appointed city attorneys are subject to political influence. Three, I support all of the Bonk and the LANC recommendations, including those that you are still to consider. I want to say that neighborhood councils are not being adequately used by the city and could do much more. We are elected. We are smart. We go to trainings. On a Sunday morning at 6 a.m., when a person is maiming or chopping down a city tree on city property, I can go out, photograph it, document it, find out the information about the people that have done it, And I have absolutely no standing or authority to be recognized and provide that information to the city because although the city has no inspectors available on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m., they tell me it must be witnessed by an employee of the city. This is insanity. We could be doing
Hi,
more,
Tina. My name is
especially
Jennifer DeVore, and my husband and I are coming there next week as part of the Melviny and Myers Partner Retreat.
Don't know how that happened. But that was
know-
at the time anyway, so,
someone else was speaking. I don't know who it was. I stopped.
sorry, it just, that was at the end of your time anyway, sorry about that. So we still have 12 minutes, for back in the room. I had still, Justy and Chantel on the list before I go back to, circle back on anyone else. Is Justy here? Oh, there she is. Chantel, you back in the room?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hold on. Okay.
Good.
Go.
All right, I just want to chime in again to support in two-year budgeting and participatory budgeting. But also, please, please, please just pass this PR and charter reform thing. Every single one of you knows better than I do about what a tedious process this has been and how it's been set up for success. And you've got a chance to fix that right now and make sure it doesn't happen again. That's all.
Chantel. Grab the mic. Okay.
I want to start with a simple question. Hello, members of the commission. When millions of public dollars, excuse me, I don't have any glasses, so I'm squinting, move through City Hall, how do residents know the money is actually making their community safe? When the mayor and city council have a final say over billions of spending and a large share of discretionary funds touches public safety, oversight should be just as strong as the authority. So the city controller is an independent watchdog charged with watching over the funds of the public. And I'm asking the commission to consider 3 reforms. First, clearly codify the independent audit access of the city controller over major executive directed programs in public safety spending that protects the public. Second, require measurable public reporting on outcomes tied to public safety funding, including prevention results, not just enforcement numbers, because that doesn't really protect us or show us.
Okay, thank you, your time is up. So that was the sweep where I know there were people who were stuck in traffic. Was there anyone else in the room who might have signed up that was stuck in traffic that didn't make it? Come on in.
Hi, Jennifer Goody. I'm Secretary of Mid-City Neighborhood Council. I'm speaking on behalf of myself as an individual. I just wanted to speak to support the recommendations from Lincoln Bonk. And one thing that this commission has talked about a lot is representation. Representation is really difficult to have without access. And coming down to City Hall in the middle of the day in order to have access to electeds or meetings is really difficult. It took me over an hour to get here today, and I was only 5 miles away. And yeah, but I mean, I should have expected it was gonna take that long, right? It's LA. But it's a luxury to have that hour to even get down here to speak to you guys for 90 seconds. Neighborhood councils give that level of access to our neighbors as we're meeting in the neighborhood, usually at night and weekends. And so we give them a level of access and raise their voices to City Hall. And that, I think, really makes neighborhood councils important to the city of Los Angeles. And we look to you guys to support us so that we can provide that access and increase representation within the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, anyone else left in the room that you missed or didn't get a chance to sign up? Going once, I think we have one more name, one more person raise their hand. On, could someone raise their hand really quick? One second.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Go.
My name is Silindra Gamaji. I am a museum guide at Griffith Observatory. I wanted to echo one of my coworkers' statements earlier about lifting the 1040 cap. I recently graduated with my master's degree in physics, and I have to work 2 jobs just to make rent and monthly expenses. Lifting this 1040 cap would be invaluable for my financial stability. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Last call. Yeah. Come on in.
Thank you for your time. I work for the Park Film Office of the Park Rec and Parks, and I'm all over the place, all over LA. And the 1040 is a big issue throughout the city. 1040 limits us from working beyond I can finish my hours like 6-7 months sometimes. And then after that, I'm being billed thousands of dollars. I'm not allowed, I used to be allowed the opportunity to opt out. And now the city only opt out in certain times of the year. So, I mean, the bills that we get is ridiculous because we can't work. And we want to be able to work, you know, not limited to, you know, the 1040, but you know, work beyond that just to maintain our bills. We lose people because of that issue on a constant basis. So the rotation of hiring over and over again, and part-timers over and over again, is just, you know, flooding our department with extra people that, you know, eventually there's not work because they're having to hire because we got 10 half-timers that aren't working. So we got to fill that position for the time being. So now you get a pile of excessive workers, you know, and it's so very. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Last call. Okay, that's in person and virtual public comment, Mr. Chair.
We now move to approve community impact statements. Can I see a show of hands of how many there are, if you, and if you can keep them held up?
And also online folks, if you can raise your hand if you have an approved CIS.
Thank you for those number of you put your hands down. And then how many?
Plus 3 on online. Okay, with that, we're gonna have folks come up, no formal, just come on down for the folks who come, and first one who gets the mic gets first. Look at her there, she was ready. Yeah. Alrighty. Yep, just. We'll grab that. And make sure, folks, for everyone in the room who hands it, commissioner or something, please make sure you email it to us so we can post it online. It's a Brown Act violation if you don't post these documents online. Thank you so much. Alrighty. 5 minutes, go for it.
Can I filibuster?
Yeah, well, yeah, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your attention. I'm Tess Taylor. I'm the president of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. You have a copy of my statement before you. We have filed several community impact statements, and what I provided today, oral testimony will supplement that. Our neighborhood council unanimously supports the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition recommendations for charter reform dated January 21st, 2026, and the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates charter recommendations dated September 13th, 2025. The proposed reforms are vital and minimal. Our stakeholders are entitled to much better and more responsive government than they currently receive. They need our local representation, and they come to us for help because they want city government failures and dysfunctionality to stop and to be promptly and permanently corrected. Neighborhood councils work to make a difference and try to deliver what government promises to be and is legally required to be. The mismanagement of taxpayer funds of our city is conspicuous appalling and ongoing, and our elected officials are under investigation by the FBI, criminally indicted or ethically compromised following the dictates of hidden influence and self-interest. Neighborhood councils take their jobs very seriously. We work without any compensation or benefits, and we are certainly the single largest on-demand, uncompensated labor force in the city of Los Angeles. We want our efforts to count, to be applied, and not be institutionally squandered. Our effectiveness is grossly disproportionate to the effort our elected boards and stakeholders put forward, in part because our advocacy and efforts are too often ignored. This disconnection and lack of authority and enforceability is not sustainable and undermines the very purpose and value of the neighborhood council system. The natives are restless. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, before the next speaker speaks, just for minutes, I'd like to note that Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Levine have joined us. Commissioner Thomas, do you have any ex parte disclosure communications to discuss? No. Commissioner Levine? No. Thank you. All right, Executive Director. Again.
Thank you. Hi again, I'm Linda Gravani. I'm president of the Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council. As you're aware, neighborhood council board members are elected. Yes, just like the mayor, just like city council, we're elected. My neighborhood council represents approximately 50,000 stakeholders in Council District 6. Lake Balboa Neighborhood Council voted to support Blank's recommendations unanimously and expect this commission to forward it as is. We were dismayed to learn that this body would consider rejecting Blank's recommendation in its entirety for unknown reasons. How disrespectful. It makes me wonder what your agenda is. Ours is to make the city of LA better from the grassroots. Thank you.
Okay, begin.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Clark, and I'm the Vice President of North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, representing 54,000 Angelinos. You should have a copy of the CIS in front of you. The topic of representation has come up in various forms throughout the discussion, so I want to pause before giving more thoughts on the CIS and share more about our neighborhood council board makeup. First, a reminder that we're either elected or selected, and we are definitely unpaid. In some ways, we actually paid to be part of the board. Gas and various other expenses. We're made up of 13 board members for us, others are larger. 6 of our people are people of color, 10 are women, 4 are parents, 1 identifies as LGBTQIA+, 1 is in high school, 2 are in master's programs, 1 is a college professor, 2 are renters, 2 take public transportation as their primary form of transportation, 2 own their own businesses, and all are much more than these statistics. We all can't be here today, so you get the middle-aged white woman and who can make the hour-and-a-half round trip from the San Fernando Valley and give up approximately 8 hours of my time to present our CIS and our thoughts and attend this meeting. But I want you to try to see past me and instead envision the whole group of us that is the collective voice of representatives of the Angelinos of North Hollywood Northeast. So on behalf of my neighborhood council, I'm here to present our thoughts on the charter reform, specifically from SCIS in front of you. We believe that this represents an important opportunity to strengthen civic engagement and modernize our city's governing framework. However, the opportunity will only be realized if the final product reflects the thoughtful input already provided by stakeholders across Los Angeles. Specifically, the North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council supports the recommendations that were put forth by Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition, otherwise known as LANC, as well as those that were advanced by the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocates. These groups represent hundreds of neighborhood council board members and stakeholders across our city. Their proposals were not developed lightly. They reflect countless hours of volunteer work, public meetings, policy analysis, and community feedback. When such comprehensive recommendations are dismissed without robust discussions, it's deeply frustrating. More importantly, it does not bode well for the coalition building that will be absolutely necessary if we are to make meaningful and lasting updates to our city charter within the limited time frame now available. Charter reform is not a small undertaking. It requires trust, it requires transparency, and it requires genuine collaboration between the commission, the council, and the community. Without that collaboration, even well-intentioned reform will risk losing public confidence and in the end fail. We are also extremely concerned about the conduct of the Charter Commission's meetings thus far, but in continuous instances in which the requirements of the Brown Act have not been followed. The Brown Act exists, of course, to guarantee that transparency and public participation in government decision-making. Neighborhood councils are expected and required to follow that the same as you. We undergo continuous trainings annually, biannually. We correct our errors. We take compliance seriously. Surely a commission that has paid staff, which we do not have, and legal resources can and must meet that same standard. Transparency is not optional. Public trust is not automatic. Both must be earned through consistent adherence to the law and a demonstrated commitment to open governance. For these reasons, we continue to recommend that the council members responsible for overseeing the Charter Commission ask the commission to pause, reflect, rededicate themselves to the important work at hand. A pause is not a setback. It is an opportunity to rebuild trust, engage meaningfully with the stakeholders, and ensure that the final recommendations truly reflect the needs of all the people of Los Angeles. North Longview Northeast Neighborhood Council stands ready to be a constructive partner in this process. We want this effort to succeed, but success requires inclusion, transparency, and respect for the collaborative process. We urge you to incorporate the recommendations of length from the budget advocates and to ensure that this reform effort proceeds in a way that strengthens rather than undermines public confidence. Thank you for your time and efforts.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
The Reseda Neighborhood Council strongly supports the recommendations put forth by the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition and the recommendations put forth by the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners. Reseda Neighborhood Council supports the charter recommendations submitted by Lank, and Lank's analysis is spot on. Due to the lack of compliance with and understanding of existing administrative language, the right for neighborhood councils to deliver voted on impact statements before all public meetings must be cemented into the charter. Lank has also collected that we need to clarify the separation of duties between elected neighborhood councils and Dunn, which serves the neighborhood councils. We recommend the specific Lank proposed charter language ensuring that Dunn will never again substitute its judgment for that of elected NCs, create policies that become de facto regulations, or coerce NCs into advocating for particular legislative positions. We also strongly believe that the council should not have the ability to change neighborhood council composition in terms of board seats and term limits. Decisions of that nature must go to the ballot for the public to decide. We further support Lank's proposals that neighborhood councils should have a formal role in the hiring of Dunn's general manager. We also support the creation of an Office of Transparency and Accountability. The Office of Transparency and Accountability would be a truth-telling body that operates independently of elected officials, provides unbiased facts to the public as the people's watchdog. We believe that this office would help to restore public trust as long as an independent appointment of the body is maintained. We strongly support the ability for neighborhood councils to speak to any government agency. In order to advocate for our neighborhoods, we must be able to affect change with the bodies that oversee all the different aspects of our community. Lastly, we support the NC Budget Advocate's recommendation that the CAO's office should prepare four-year budget outlooks that reflect realistic city revenue and raises for city employees. And furthermore, we support the Budget Advocates, the LA 2020 Commission, and the City Controller in requiring a 2-year budget process. Reseda Neighborhood Council strongly supports the recommendation from BONC that give us a guaranteed right to speak at City Council and Commission meetings, gives us a voice in picking the general manager and the new BONC commissioners, and dedicates 1/10 of 1% of the general fund to funding the activities of neighborhood councils and Dunn. We need a stabilized funding model. At present, no one advocates for us during the budget process. And our current budgets are 27% of what they once were when neighborhood councils were first created, adjusted for inflation. Neighborhood councils function as an accountability arm, but we cannot do that when our funding is unstable. Lastly, a practical budget is an equity issue. Neighborhood councils need the ability to hire help with things like website management and minutes. Otherwise, only those who are privileged with time can navigate the many requirements and dysfunctional bureaucracy. We further support that during budget challenges, the percentage of neighborhood councils' budgets reductions should not be greater than that of the office of the mayor. When the mayor's office budget is restored after the budget challenge, the neighborhood council's budgets are similarly restored. Neighborhood councils need representation elected by the NCs themselves on bump. Therefore, we support the length recommendations to increase the number of commissioners from 7 to 9, with 2 additional commissioners being at large and appointed by the neighborhood councils. This would allow the NCs themselves to elect true public representatives of our stakeholders into the fabric of the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, instead of the current system of just hand-picked commissioners solely from the mayor's office. We further support giving BONC oversight responsibilities over Dunn and making BONC an appeals body for NCs and or board members seeking redress for actions by Dunn or the city clerk. By supporting these recommendations, the Charter Forum Commission would enshrine the much needed reforms that acknowledge the true value that neighborhood councils play in governance and quality of life for all Angelenos.
Yay, thank you so much. Next. Keith.
Dedication is having these Uber down here from where the hills because you left in the middle. So, Good afternoon, Commissioners. Steve Pond from the Western Hills Warren Center Neighborhood Council. Oh, yeah, just random. You should have all received copies of our previously filed highly technical 24-page CIS, and I would like to read it to you now to refresh your memories. Just kidding. And the good news is I don't have to, because our CIS was distilled and made part of the Lank and BONC recommendations that you have before you, and that you will be hopefully unanimously passing shortly for inclusion in the city charter that you'll be proposing to go on the ballot. Now, as all of you know, from our time together these last few months, I can be passionate about the details of the things, of these things, and why they are so important to the betterment of the neighborhood council system and to good government on the part of our city. And I would like to talk to you about the merits and importance of every single recommendation. But I'm assuming that I cannot have my time extended to past midnight. And besides, so many others have already articulated these points beautifully before me. So I will try to communicate with you differently, with pictures. We all know they're worth 1,000 words. And Brandy was so kind to pass out notebooks that contain past NC newsletters that my neighborhood council produced for ourselves and for our neighboring neighborhood councils that we often team up with on joint projects. Look at the story headlines. Look at the pictures. See all the community engagement events that we produce for all segments of our community, attracting many hundreds of participants. Now, look at the date of those newsletters. They are more than a decade old. Why? Don't I have any current newsletters to show you? Simple. Our funding has been cut back so severely over the years that we don't have the funds to print and mail these newsletters, let alone put on these events that we used to do regularly. As I've told you before, our annual budget now for everything would not cover the postage for mailing a single postcard to all the addresses in Woodland Hills. And this same kind of thing has occurred with all 99 neighborhood councils across the city, stripping them of their ability to be effective for their stakeholders. And it's not just funding. Our ability to advocate to city government has been systemically curtailed over the years. And here's the irony. Our LAUSD, Metro, County, State, and federal representatives actually engage with us. They partner with us to solve community problems. We can only dream of our city doing the same. You, like us, are volunteers who stepped up to make a difference in the city. And tonight you have the opportunity to change the direction of this city for at least the next decade to come. So please pass the Langton Bond recommendations. And I'm going to leave these notebooks with you because later when you need to weigh tough choices like ballot box funding for neighborhood councils or a right to advocate, I want you to look at those newsletters and ask yourself, do I want my neighborhood council to be able to do these things for me? And do I want other neighborhood councils to be able to do the same for my family and friends across the city? And with those thoughts, we know you will do the right thing because you took to heart your oath to serve just like we did. But after those votes, I will need those notebooks back because they're part of my legacy for my kids and grandkids. And I want that legacy to include you in what you did here tonight for us.
Do we have another CIS? Yes, go on down. Okay, we good?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sarah Seidman. I'm the chair of Echo Park Neighborhood Council. I know some of the items on our community impact statement may have passed, so thank you all for supporting that. I will still read it as written. The Echo Park Neighborhood Council supports comprehensive city charter reform that strengthens democratic accountability, improves transparency, and modernizes the city of Los Angeles governance structure to better serve residents, workers, and neighborhoods. Echo Park is a dense, diverse, and rapidly changing community that experiences firsthand the impacts of fragmented authority, unclear accountability, and inconsistent fiscal oversight within city government. Charter reform presents a rare and necessary opportunity to address these structural shortcomings at their root, rather than continuing to rely on piecemeal policy fixes. The Echo Park Neighborhood Council specifically urges the Charter Reform Commission to adopt the reform measures recommended by the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition, which reflects years of deliberation and consensus building across neighborhood councils citywide. These recommendations would strengthen the role of neighborhood councils, improve representative balance, and reinforce public trust in city decision-making. In addition, the Echo Park Neighborhood Council strongly supports reforms that expand and clarify the city controller's authority, including explicit charter authority for the city controller to audit all city programs, departments, and offices, including those overseen by independently elected officials. Charter's protected independence for the controller's audit and oversight function ensures fiscal accountability is applied consistently across city government without political interference. Clear requirements for public responses and corrective action plans following controller audits. Consideration of expanding the number of city council seats. Robust, independent fiscal oversight is essential to restoring public confidence, preventing waste, fraud, and abuse, and ensuring city resources are used equitably and efficiently. No elected office should be exempt from meaningful and audit authority. The Echo Park Neighborhood Council believes charter reform should prioritize structural clarity, accountability, and long-term institutional capacity over short-term political considerations. A stronger charter will result in better government outcomes for neighborhoods like Echo Park and for the city as a whole. For these reasons, the Echo Park Neighborhood Council respectfully recommends that the Charter Reform Commission adopt the charter reform measures advanced by LUNC and explicitly expand and protect the city controller's authority to audit elected officials and all city functions. We appreciate the commission's work and urge bold, forward-looking reforms that match the scale of Los Angeles challenges and opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. In the room, is that it? Alrighty, we're gonna switch to online. So first online. Brian Morrison, we're taking you off of mute. Brian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Begin.
I'm Brian Morrison. I'm the outreach chair of the Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council. I'm here representing Anastasia Mann, our council president. First, I'd like to thank you for giving us 5 minutes to speak here. That happens to be the same amount of time that's requested in the LANC charter recommendations. So the Hollywood Hills Neighborhood Council voted 19-0 to support both the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition's charter red lines, as well as the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners charter reform recommendations. Both of these sets of changes serve to empower neighborhood councils, which are not currently empowered. And I've heard some concerns listening to Reform Commission meetings about equity and diversity on neighborhood councils. Those are directly related to the lack of empowerment of the neighborhood councils. Why would anyone want to participate in this and spend their valuable time when they don't think that the neighborhood council's voice is going to be heard? So those charter recommendations go a long ways towards improving that and giving people who have limited time a reason to participate in the neighborhood council system. Today, other neighborhood groups, community groups, resident homeowners associations, unions, nonprofits, business associations, and other niche groups have more power than neighborhood councils do. Those groups can reach out to entities outside of the city with positions, which neighborhood councils cannot do. That doesn't make any sense. So please take the recommendations of LANC seriously. And lastly, there was a concern raised at the commission meeting where you were discussing the number of city council members. And the concern was, well, what if city council doesn't like our recommendation? They'll just ignore it. That's a reasonable concern. However, the job of the Reform Commission is to represent the people and to bring recommendations to council that support the people, not to concern themselves with whether council is going to like the recommendation or not. So please consider that when you're taking these, taking your consideration of the LANC and the bond recommendations, as well as other recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip, we're taking you off of mute. Philip, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, begin.
You can. Okay, great. So I'm Philip Armstrong, representing the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council. As noted in our February 17th Community Impact Statement for Council File 250869, the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council, RVNC, supports the January 21st LA Neighborhood Council Coalition LANC recommendations to the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission. Among the LANC recommendations, neighborhood councils shall monitor the delivery of city services in their respective areas and the city at large. Through submitting community impact statements, neighborhood councils may describe the results of their monitoring of city services. Although our community impact statements are supposed to be reflected in the council files to which they are submitted, this is not always the case, as we may observe in this instance where our community impact statement does not appear in the council file to which it was submitted. Even when our community impact statements are reflected in the council file, the neighborhood council rarely gets any response. We observed an exception to this circumstance in the case of a January 20th community impact statement that the RVNC submitted for council file 230600 S121. In that instance, the RVNC made public comments at a December 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee. In doing so, the RVNC asked for a discussion of the merits outlined in the April 11th, discussion of the merits of the Transportation Committee deleting recommendation number 5 among the 14 recommendations outlined in the April 11th, 2025 joint CAO and LADOT report on the Vision Zero program independent evaluation. In response, committee members supported adding back recommendation number 5 to the item. However, they then declined to add the recommendation 5 back to the item. And so the item was passed without recommendation number 5. In another example, the RVNC submitted several community impact statements for Council File 230426 regarding our monitoring of the city's production of affordable housing. The RVNC also raised this issue in the annual budget reviews of the Neighborhood Council budget advocates for those city departments responsible for permitting, entitling, and covenanting of low-income units in both 100% affordable housing projects and in mixed income projects that receive density bonus and transit-oriented community incentives. In spite of these efforts, the issues raised in these community impact statements have not received a thorough hearing in the city departments, the city council, or the mayor's office. And the RVNC appreciates the opportunity to present our comments to the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Eric. Eric, we're taking you off mute. Eric, can you hear us?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Hi, my name is Eric Chang. I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person today. I've come to some previous ones, but I'm representing the Arroyo Seco Neighborhood Council today. First, I just wanted to add a +1 for the letter that was sent by the LANCC. We are in support of that, and our president, Linda Valencia, signed it. But in addition, we also wanted to voice some recommendations that we are in support of as well, per a meeting that we had where we all individually voted on each item. Some of them may be redundant, or you may have already, made a motion for them, including the first one, but I'll just go ahead and read all of them. There are 9. So the first one is expansion of the city council from 15 to 23 to 31 districts, which is already, gone through. So that I can move on from that one. 2, language access guarantees and ADA compliance for meetings and city materials. 3rd, creating a democracy voucher public financing program. 4th, creating a director of public works position. 5th, revising the city attorney roles or splitting the misdemeanor prosecution or address conflicts. Split the position of city attorney into 2 positions, 1 city prosecutor and 2 Office of Legislative Counsel. The city attorney reinstates the neighborhood prosecutor program. That's the proposal. And then 6th, strengthening the sanctuary city right to counsel in deportation proceedings. 7, explicitly authorize the controller to audit any city program or office without permission. 8, every 5 years, vouching for a capital infrastructure plan that is updated. And finally, a full citywide funding of unarmed model of crisis response. The Arroyo Seco Neighborhood Council represents, as one of the only coalition councils in the city of LA, the communities of Montecito Heights, Monterey Hills, Mount Washington, and Sycamore Grove. So thank you very much to the Charter Reform Commission, the Board of Neighborhood Commissions, and City Council for the service and for including our community impact statement into our meeting today.
Thank you so much. Beth is next. Beth, we're taking you off of mute. Beth, can you hear us?
Hi, my name is Beth Klein. Can I still offer a public comment?
No, we're only at CIS. 5 minutes ago.
I don't represent a CIS. I was just.
Okay, sorry. Okay, the next person is gonna be Paul. Paul, we're taking you off mute.
Sorry, I don't represent. I'm gonna have to lower my hand.
No worries. Melanie, I think is our last, Melanie, if you have a CIS. Melanie, can you hear us? Okay, I think then, we are done with, the approved CISs.
We now move on to approval of meeting minutes from our February 4th commission meeting. Commissioners, the meeting minutes have been printed for you and are on the desk. They have also been circulated via email and posted online. Can I have a motion to approve our meeting minutes from our meeting on February 24th? All right, I will move the motion. Is there a second?
Second. Commissioner Matt.
Second from Commissioner Matt. Is there any, before we proceed on discussion and potential approval, I just want to note for the minutes that Commissioners Field and Yap have joined us. Commissioner Field, do you have any ex parte disclosures?
I heard Councilman Adrena Zarian on the radio this morning on KPCC talking about the war in Iran. And I did send him a message thanking him for his thoughtful comments about the war.
Thank you, Commissioner Yap. Thank you. All right, we are back at approval of the meeting minutes from February 24th. There's a motion and second to approve. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, is there any objection to approving the minutes? All right, seeing none, the minutes are approved. We now move on to approving the meeting minutes from our meeting on Thursday, February 26th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Field, second by Commissioner Sanchez. Is there any discussion on approving the meeting minutes from our meeting of Thursday, February 26th? All right, seeing none, is there any objection to approving the meeting minutes from Thursday, February 26th? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Commissioners, before we dive into the items, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. Is there any objection? Seeing none, we will reconvene at 4:55. Thank you.
And this was.
To the public. Yeah, already attempting to be the media. So I love that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll make a free. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm gonna reconvene the meeting with roll call. Commissioner Andradas. Present. Commissioner Field.
Here.
Commissioner Fuentes. Present. Commissioner Levine. Present. Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Mack.
Present.
Commissioner Mensah is present. Commissioner Murray.
Present.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Present.
Commissioner Stein. Present. Commissioner Thomas. Present. Commissioner Yap. Here. Great. We, commissioners, we are, on item, number 4. I would like to, bring your attention to the staff report, on this item, commissioners. This is the one that's dated, 3/3/26, detailed reform language for personnel and budget and better government agendized reforms. If you turn to page. Starting at 3, actually. Starting at page 3, I just wanted to note, for the commission that, there are a number of late proposals that are either very similar or exactly, as written. Proposals that the commission has already advanced, and you'll see those listed under late reforms already addressed. Then there is, on pages 4, 5, and 6, lake reforms still to be addressed. So I just wanted to note that distinction, for commissioners. I was incorrect that there was a motion floating around, but it did seem that there was a recess that was very much needed though, by what I saw commissioners scarfing down food and getting soda, so. I'm glad we took the recess. All right, so, as, these items were added back to the agenda at the request of a commissioner. So I just wanted to, open it up, for discussion. Commissioner Andrades.
Yeah, so I would first like to add that I'm very thankful that this was brought back up. I was one of the few at the ad hoc level, thought that at least some of these items deserve, their attention. With that said, I walked through this entire document and I tried to figure out what our baseline, what are the amendments that non-controversial should pass, ideally city council passes. So I would like to make a motion to approve of the following, reforms. The motion, and then I'll list out the reforms. For point of order, should I read the specific reform or just give the number?
The number and read, please.
Okay, I will give the number and read. So we start with number 3. Neighborhood councils delivering a community impact statement shall be in a separate queue from public comment. However, I will slightly amend that to remove shall be given 5 minutes to speak. So that, since there are so many neighborhood councils, I think city council should speak. Number 8, neighborhood councils may include consent calendars on their agendas. Items on consent calendars may include common agenda items, including but not limited to approval of minutes and the monthly expenditure report, and may include agenda items voted by committee. I would then like to add item 15, members of shall not be permitted to vote at a commission meeting if they have not completed their required training within 30 days of being seated, and to be able to continue voting, their required training must be current. And then last on this floor list, the baseline list, item 30, capitalize neighborhood council throughout the charter.
That was item 30.
Correct, item 30. Capitalize neighborhood councils throughout the charter.
All right, is there a second on the motion?
I'll second it. I'd like to amend.
Yeah, so second motion by, second by Commissioner Mack, Commissioner Fuentes, and then Mack, Commissioner Fuentes.
I'd like to include, item 10, 11, 12.
Let's,
Sorry.
Commissioners, if you could just, read
Yes. 10, providing the neighborhood council's opportunity to submit questions to ask general manager candidates during the employment interview. 11, increasing the number of bond commissioners from 7 to 9, with 2 additional commissioners being at large and appointed by neighborhood councils. As well as 12, which is at the same time as departments, neighborhood councils shall submit their budget request for the following year.
The two at-large bond commissioners shall be a single point of contact and shall organize the request into a single request for the mayor's consideration. And oh, sorry, there was one more. Have you already pulled 7?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
add 7.
Was 7 in or no?
7 was not included.
I would like to also include 7. And 7 was neighborhood councils, regardless of the city's position, may deliver to any governmental agency as deeply passed in a Brown acted public meeting at which there is a quorum. The city may create and require language to indicate the NC speaks for itself and not the city.
Let's do this. Commissioner Gus, are any of those friendly?
Yeah, like I said before, I'll accept several as friendly and several as non-friendly so that we can have a robust discussion. I will accept 9 and 10 as friendly.
I don't think she could.
Sorry. 10 and 11 as friendly. And then I would like to accept, their 7 and 12 will be non-friendly for the purpose of the debate.
What about 15?
8 to 15.
I did 15.
That was already included in the main motion.
I asked for 16. Sorry, can you,
15 was included in the main motion.
Oh, it was. Oh.
you said 10, 11, and what was the other one, or was that?
10 and 11 will be friendly, and then you also mentioned 7 and 12, and let's consider that as not friendly.
Let's do this. So Commissioner Andrades, can you now include all the ones that you were in your original meeting motion and the 2 that we've added friendly one more time, just so Commissioner's on the same page?
Yes, so the full motion would then be 3 neighborhood councils delivering a community impact statement shall be in a separate queue for public comment. 8, neighborhood councils may include consent calendars on their agendas. Items on consent calendars may include common agenda items, including but not limited to approval of meeting minutes and the monthly expenditure report. It may include agenda items voted by a committee. 10, provide NCs with the opportunity to submit questions to ask GM candidates during the employment interview. 11, increase the number of bond commissioners from 7 to 9, with 2 additional commissioners being at large and appointed by neighborhood councils. And then 15, members of bond shall not be permitted to vote at commission meetings if they have not completed their required voting within 30 days of being seated, and to be able to continue their voting, their required training must be current. And lastly, 30, capitalize neighborhood councils throughout the charter.
All right, and then, okay, thank you for that. And then 7 and 12 were not friendly, so let's start with a discussion on 7. Commissioner Fuentes, and then people.
Thank you. Okay, so I think you all will have to confirm with me that I'm the only person who's participated on a neighborhood council before on this commission, which I'm happy to be of that minority. And as well as the Congress of Neighborhoods Planning Committee, but all that to say, 7 is extremely important. Many of the blank as well as bomb commissioners as well as link community members have touched on that. It essentially cuts the hands off of neighborhood council members to advocate on behalf of their individual councils. And it just quite frankly doesn't make sense. A large majority of neighborhood councils dedicate time out of their meetings just to hear from government representatives and keep their community informed. So the idea that they can't communicate back to those offices in a way to just provide statements in the same way that they do to us makes no sense to me. And I think you all would agree with me there. Something else that they flagged today, specifically, many of the neighborhood council members and community members, is the fact that a lot of neighborhood members, just attendees of the neighborhood councils, can't make it here to city council all the time. So neighborhood councils are an essential resource in terms of disseminating information and advocating on behalf of their neighbors in a way that's unlike any other. So I'll really encourage you all to consider item number 7.
Commissioner Field and then myself, with you, Commissioner Field.
I'm glad you explained it, and here's my question. This is governmental agency, and that's telling me that the neighborhood council can write to the state legislature, to the governor, to whoever. And I'm a little concerned. I mean, I think in my head, the example you gave wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking more SB 79, right? But at the same time, so I want that clarified. Is this meant to be any governmental agency at any level, federal, state, local, county? That's the intention.
Yes.
Because what you talked about was just basically feedback to city agencies or to the council, but this is bigger.
I think it's both, and I think, yeah, the one that you brought up is exactly right. The fact that there was legislation about allowing people to telecommunicate over Zoom that was impacting neighborhood councils directly, and they couldn't speak to that. Made no sense. I think that's a perfect example to provide there. I don't see any harm that would be done. Neighborhood council members identify themselves as they do at our meetings here. It's very clear that they're representing their communities and those specific interests, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I just wonder if it has to be even stronger. The city shall create and require language in each communication to indicate that speaking for itself. I'm thinking a letter goes to Sacramento.
Yeah.
And is that the intention?
Definitely.
That every time, like I'm neighborhood council X, we vote, we send a letter about SB 79, but it says right at the top, this is the sentiment of neighborhood council X and does not reflect the city.
Definitely.
Is that the intention?
Yeah.
We're fine with that.
Thanks.
Can I have the city attorney approach? I'm sorry, I ran into discussion. I want to go back to this question specifically on SB 79 and other state legislation. My understanding is the council has a process for the council. Is it for the council or the city to basically endorse or support legislation? And it goes through currently the rules committee. Could you explain that process?
So it's the way the city adopts a position on something is through the council, usually with the approval of the mayor. Those matters are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the rules committee. So they typically go to rules, but as you know, something can get waived out of committee, right? And sometimes it is in particular when the vote in Sacramento say it's coming out quickly and they don't have time to go to rules.
And then what is the ability of individual council members to advocate on positions that contradict the vote of the council through that process?
So they can speak for themselves, but they cannot speak with the voice of the city.
Heidi did the, on SB 79,
So
I did.
on letterhead.
I think my question is, so on SB 79. Using that example, Commissioner Field is council members can't speak on behalf of the city, but it sounds like we would be giving neighborhood councils a stronger voice than even council members on some issues through this.
And we can go to the city and beg them to take up these issues and they go.
Multiple council members weighed in on letterhead, on SB
So
79.
for purposes of the audience, not here, what the audience in the room is saying is that, I believe the neighborhood councils would just be speaking on behalf of neighborhood councils and not on behalf of the city. But
Correct.
that authority would remain as is.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Is there some language that can be included in this motion to make that distinction that you would suggest?
So you could just say, I mean, I don't have the paper in front of me,
Yeah.
but it would be the neighborhood councils have the authority to communicate positions on behalf of their neighborhood councils. Yes. That would be language.
Well, I would say we should keep the part about passed in the Brown Act meeting, which there's a quorum, just for extra clarity.
Perfect.
For further discussion, Commissioner Levine.
I see real value in the neighborhood councils having the ability to provide these statements to city meetings, and I know there's structure for that already. I do wonder about other governmental bodies and how that interacts with the decision-making process, not because it is confusing, but because neighborhood council members, like any member of the public, have the ability to make their voices heard. They have the ability to reference their associations with neighborhood councils as they provide public comment at state or water board or county affairs. The purpose of the neighborhood council is to advise the city on policymaking processes. It is not to advise other bodies of policymaking processes, that there might be impacts from policies being passed at state level or any other governmental level on neighborhoods. Neighborhood council members are free to provide that feedback and perspective to their elected representatives, either their own elected representatives, committees hearing those things. And I see that the Los Angeles City Council cannot unilaterally take a vote on a position and say, this is not the position of the city, this is the position of the city council. And we would like to operate as such. Council members can offer their perspective, the same as a neighborhood council member can offer their perspective. And I think we should preserve that. I think we should preserve that equity of rights in participating in the process.
It's not the same though.
Members of the public, if we're having a commission discussion, please, and there are clearly commissioners who express your interests as well, so if we could leave it to commissioners, please, Commissioner Thomas.
I just struggle with why the city would want to hear things. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't get it. I do know that when people are running for elective office, they find out who their councils, where they are, and they come a running. Every 4 years. They come a running. And I think, you know, this thing with public comment, y'all, you know, it is just the way that it's done, it's just not, it's not effective. And quite frankly, it's not right, it's performative. You know, we are listening to public comment. We have. But I don't recall city council really paying attention to public comment unless it serves their particular interests.
Commissioner Thomas, that one's not this item.
I know it's not. I know it's not.
If I did that, I could say chat outside.
I'm loving it. I am really loving it. I am loving it. So I'm gonna end there because my chair just said I needed to. I'm loving it, really. But I do want to say though, you know, because I want to add one to this emotion. Because I was going to say 7.
Commissioner Thomas, we will add after we.
After that.
We're gonna do 7, we're gonna do 12, and then we'll continue taking up step. Further discussion on item number 7. Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna call for a vote on approving item number 7.
Could you read it, please, as it stands?
Yeah, neighborhood councils, regardless of the city's position, may deliver to any governmental agency a statement passed at a Brown Act public meeting at which there is a quorum. And then there was, what was the additional language? Yeah, and then it's here, yeah, the city, it's the language as is, the city may create and require language to indicate the neighborhood council is speaking for itself, not the city. All right, Commissioner Andrades. Yes. I'm sorry, Commissioner Andrades. Say yes. You got it. Commissioner Peel.
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine.
No.
Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Matt.
Yes.
Commissioner Mesa votes no. Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Stein.
No.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Yap.
Yes.
Motion passes. We now move to item number 12. Commissioner Quentin.
This was at the same time as departments, neighborhood councils shall submit their budget request for the following year. The two at-large bond commissioners shall be a single point of contact and shall organize their request into a single request for the mayor's consideration. And, yeah, honestly, this is just a process one, so in terms of the bond commissioners having that designated role, in terms of being the single point of contact and organizing their requests is really the emphasis there. So this is procedural as well as a direction to the bond. And that's the board of neighborhood.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Murray. Okay, discussion on 12. Commissioner Field.
Thank you. I have a few questions and probably Commissioner Fuentes, having been on the neighborhood council, can answer. What is the current procedure for them putting a budget request, or do they not do it, or?
There isn't one.
None.
There is none. Okay, thank you.
And with 99 different neighborhood council, bond plays a role as being, as even with these recommendations, for example, for our bond, like they can be the consolidator of information for neighborhood councils, and they can extend that role this way. So it's just a specific.
Okay, so, but let me see if I understand. The way this is written, it sounds like each of the 99 can submit a budget request, or is it gonna filter through?
It will filter, yeah, filter through.
Okay, into a single request, meaning a uniform, like we want 50,000 this year.
Like a general manager would.
Okay, and, oh, no. The other question is, single point of contact, 2 people. These are 2 volunteers working pretty hard, I'm assuming, for the city as bond commissioners. I mean, is it logical to have 2 people as a single point of contact? Cause then you gotta, connect with both. I'm just asking practically speaking.
I would support the number of 2, but if you'd like to amend it, you're in amendment for the numbers.
Well, what is your sense of these volunteer bond commissioners? They're probably already spending 80 hours a week on city stuff anyway, but is it reality that the 2 at large can coordinate enough to be that single point?
I would believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Does the bond have a chair?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so I know that this says the 2 at large because 11 creates at large, but I see value in changing the point of contact so that it matches the person at the top of the bond. So there's a world in which one of those at-large commissioners could be the chair, but there's a world in which that person's not. So I think for consistency's sake, if you would accept a friendly amendment so that the point of contact is the chair of the bond.
They've got other jobs.
Or if the bond, and the chair can delegate this authority to a different, if they have other jobs, they can delegate that authority to a second vice chair if they so choose to create one, but the bond is the main point of contact with the ability to delegate that authority.
Sure, yes.
My question is why do they deliberately say at large?
Because they're the 2 at large ones that are created with number 11.
Right, so.
The others are the mayor's. These 2 will be.
So that would explain why you wouldn't want the chair to.
Well, the amendment was already accepted as friend.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the motion as amended? All right, seeing none, we will take a vote on the motion as amended, which is to approve item 12 with it being the chair or their designee. As the amendment. Commissioner Andrades.
Yes.
Commissioner Field.
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine. Yes. Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Matt.
Yes.
Commissioner Mesa votes yes. Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Stein. Yes. Commissioner Thomas.
Only because.
Yes. Commissioner Okay, motion passes. Okay. All right, we are back at the main motion. Are there any additional amendments? We're back at the main motion. Are there any additional amendments? Commissioner Field?
I just want to clarify, so the main motion is to pass item 3.
Okay, as amended, I'll go through the list again. 3, 8, 10, 11, 15, 30, and 12.
Where 30?
Seven, yes, 7 was, yeah. Yeah, so 3, 8, 10, 11, 15, 30, 12, and 7.
And just for clarity, on 3, it ends at the word public comment. It's not, okay, gotcha, thank you.
So good.
They give us 0 minutes and nothing.
Are there any further amendments?
I want to add 14.
All right, so there's a motion to add 14. Is there a second? All right, seeing no second, the motion dies. Are there any further amendments? All right, commissioners, I'm gonna call a vote to move forward the following link recommendations. 3, 8, 10, 11, 15, 30, 12, and 7. Commissioner,
I just want to make sure on 3, does it end, does the sentence and separate queue from public comment period?
yes, so 3 is, it ends at public comment, and then the remainder is deleted, and then also 12 was amended, where it says, at the same time as departments, neighborhood council shall submit their budget requests for the following year, the chair or their designee, bomb commissioner shall be a single point of contact and shall organize the request into a single request for the mayor's consideration. Those were the only 2 that were modified in the discussion. So the motion as amended is 3 as modified, 8, 12, 8, 10, 11, 15, 30, 12 as modified, and 7. All right, Commissioner Andrades.
Yes.
Commissioner Field.
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine.
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Matt.
Yes.
Commissioner Mesa votes yes. Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Stein.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Yap.
Yes.
Motion passes. We move on to item 4B, bond proposals. Yeah, I think there might be some stuff that we can pass. Okay. 7. Okay, I'll review these board neighborhood commission recommendations on the memo that we've been referencing. This is page 7. 1A require that the city council committee and committee commission agendas include separate part provisions for neighborhood council comment. That we addressed that already. We require that city council, city committees and city commissions make provisions for neighborhood councils to comment on via telephone or online. There's been state law that's addressed that.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay,
Doesn't.
commissioners, we can, if people want to make a motion, we can review it. 2, provide an official role for neighborhood councils when choosing members of the board of neighborhood commissioners and Department of Neighborhood Empowerment General Manager. Lane's recommendation, did we approve this one, right? Lane's recommendation, it's different, but.
It's different.
We approved it in part.
In part, okay, and then provide a dedicated funding mechanism for the neighborhood council system equivalent to at least 1/10 of 1% of the city's general fund. Okay, so these are the bond recommendations. Would any commissioner like to make the motion?
Yes, motion to move forward with 1B and 3 One B is requiring that city council committees and city commissions make provision for neighborhood councils to comment via telephone or online at the beginning of at all meetings of those bodies. And item number three is provide a dedicated funding mechanism for the neighborhood council system equivalent to at least 1/10 of 1% of the city's general fund to be divided equally between the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and neighborhood councils.
Is there a second? A second. Second by Commissioner Thomas. Okay, the motion is to advance 1B and 3 discussion. Commissioner Field.
I'm sorry, I get so picky here, but I wanna understand if using the word online, if everybody understands that to be like on a Zoom and that kind of stuff? Is that what that means? Cause online to me means like going on a website, but that's not what you're talking about.
Teleconferences.
Okay, I mean, I just hope people know what it means. It may be generational. Yeah, well, that's.
Why don't you amend it to say instead of online by telephone conferencing?
Yeah, I would accept that.
Teleconferencing, it could be on computer.
Brown Act compliant state bill,
Well, they use the word teleconferencing,
Yeah.
then thank you, I think that should be the word, thank you.
Remote.
Yeah.
Commissioner Levine. I'm concerned that this, as written, it may be overly broad and that we should clarify that this is for Brown Act compliant meetings. And we should add, if there's some question as to whether or not new state legislation would address this anyway. Language that simply says in compliance with state law.
I would accept.
Let's get followed up.
Commissioner Fuentes.
I was just gonna say, I accept both of those amendments in terms of just being specific.
Okay, the motion, those are friendly amendments.
Have the city attorney.
What 707 applies to, which by the way will.
Members of the public, if we could. Thank you. All right, the motion, those amendments are friendly. Further discussion. On item, okay, so on item 3. You, I think. Rec and parks, infrastructure, ethics, independent redistricting. The line in the sand keeps on moving, the goalpost keeps on moving, the red line keeps on moving. What's next, commissioners?
And I'm.
But there'll be some discussion, so.
Sorry, I know you saw it, before you were talking, I have a similar sentiment actually, not that I don't value the importance of neighborhood council, I truly do. But in our last land recommendation, we did create now a mechanism for neighborhood councils to participate in the budgeting process, and as the chair said, like, where does the line start? I think this is one where the line should exist, right? We created this new stream for neighborhood councils to communicate in the budgeting process, and I don't think that we necessarily need to set aside now that we've done something very, very positive. We should let the line exist where it is right now.
Commissioner Levine and then Commissioner Thomas.
I would add that set asides for the management of public assets are distinct from set asides for specific departments or commissions. And I would say, and this is gonna be part of the audience to hear, if there is a budget crisis, I want to preserve delivery of city services rather than advisory on delivery of services. I mentioned deliver in concert with departments, those budgets are distinct, so I would be against a set aside here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Every year, I mean, in every budget cycle. The police get an increase. Liabilities, to the tune of $300 million. These folks who do all of this work, who are volunteers, are asking for kills and bits.
Stamp.
We saw, I mean, this is not cheap to do.
All volunteer labor.
And it's, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. So you can't be critical of neighborhood councils and you starve with resources. And so if neighborhood council, because again, I was on the front end of the establishment of neighborhood councils, and it was a very positive thing, it was a very good thing. And, you know, the only thing that I could say is that you begin to starve groups like this when they start asking for transparency and fairness, and they start calling you out on your stuff. All of a sudden, they're not viable entities anymore. And what I'm shook by, and I have not been able to get over it, was the presentation by the city councilors, who told us in no uncertain terms that she does not like public comment because they yell at her and they're crazy. That's what she said. What she said. And so she'd like to limit public comment. And public comment has already been limited. And my concern about what she said was, like, I don't agree that, you know, I don't agree with what she said, but let's take what she says at face value. There is no obligation for the city to represent people who are quote unquote crazy. You're not her constituent anymore if you are quote unquote crazy. You're not her constituent anymore if you yell at her. There's a reason that people yell at you. And it's because you're not listening to them. And so I do think that if public councils mean anything to the city, then they need to be provided the resources to do their job. The most frustrating thing in the world, and we have experienced that on this commission, is when you are volunteering your time and you're working hard as if you are being paid and you're not paid. And you can't get things like stamps. I mean, we pay taxes. So why should the neighborhood councils have to come out of their own pocket to fund what's going to make this city run better, and they don't work for the city? They're not an employee. And so they're not asking, I mean, I haven't seen that 1/10 of what, I don't even know what that is. You know, such a small amount. You know, so I think we need to, I think when we start talking about these budgets and what we cannot afford and what's gonna be cut, why don't we cut? If we just cut $150 million from what is paid out in police liability claims, we can fund everything that people have been asking. And so it's about political will. It has nothing to do with the budget. And the reason that people want a participatory budget, I know we're not on there. I know we're not on there. But the reason that they're asking, think about what they're asking, and I'm done. People who have committed themselves to work on behalf of the city with people in these neighborhoods, who, by the way, yell at them and worse. And worse. Are having to fight to be heard. You don't want a James Thomas speech at city council, that's what you asked for. That would be a lot. You don't want a James Thomas speech at city. You just want 5 minutes. And you're not asking for the bank, you're not breaking the bank. And if you balance your budget, first of all, you are not balancing your budget off of whatever it is you give it to neighborhood council. Let's just stop that. Let's just stop that right there. Because there ain't enough money. But if you are balancing your budget by taking money from neighborhood councils, you're sending a message that they're not valuable, that they're not important. And if they're not important, don't waste people's time. Just let them know. You're not valuable, you're not important, your time is worn out. But they're not willing to do that because many people depend on the leadership of neighborhood councils and their communities. And so I would ask you all, I know that y'all don't like set asides, but when you at the bottom, the only way you get any resources, it has to be set aside. Because all the money is for the people with the power and the influence and wealth. It is the people that are struggling at the bottom who have to demand that resources be put aside so that they can continue to do the work that they're doing. And that's what they're asking. I don't think it's a lot of money, maybe we can, I don't think it's a lot of money. But they're just simply asking, if you want us to do this job, number one, listen to us. That's the first thing. But number two, provide us with at least the minimal amount of resources so that you can do it. Nobody cuts a budget in half that wants to sustain an agency. If your budget is cut in half, you're pretty much closed down.
More than.
More than, we don't even get our food space.
So if nothing else, if the city doesn't set aside anything else, they at least need to set aside whatever it's gonna cost for them to meet. And resources for them to be able to have contact with their constituencies. We live in a technological age, there are apps, there's all kind of ways to be able to do that. That the city could commit to. That I think would make a significant difference, but I don't think that this is the same kind of set aside that we have been talking about in the past, because number one, these are people who are actually doing this currently. So these are not hopefuls. These are people who are actually doing this work, and what they're asking us for. Again, city council has the final authority. But I think we get that confused. City council has to determine whether or not they're going to accept a set aside. But I think that the people have made a valid argument for why it is needed. It is needed to affirm the work that they do. It is needed so they can continue to do the kind of work that we would like to see them do. And so I'm asking that you define your desire to do the work of the city council and let them determine. Let them make the decision that they're not useful, not us. And that is how I see I think that's what we would be doing. Let them, if they don't want a set aside, then they won't put it on a ballot.
Commissioners, Matt, yeah, and then myself and the commissioners at 7:56, we were dangerously close to getting done on time. You blame it on
I'll be brief, but I did just wanted to clarify or emphasize that, number 3 says to be divided equally between the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and Neighborhood Councils. And I'm gonna add a new perspective that I haven't heard on this table yet. But I don't have experience serving on the neighborhood council, but I have seen the interactions and collaborations with neighborhood council and done with community organizations and nonprofits. And one of my understandings is that there is collaborations with mini grants that goes to nonprofits. And in more recent years, that hasn't been available due to the recent budget cuts. And I think because we're talking about services and delivery of services, I think we all are aware that the city has gaps in the services that they deliver. The nonprofits oftentimes have to be the ones that step in to deliver those services. And so I think I just wanna uplift on that. Neighborhood councils are really good advocates for residents of LA City, but also the fact that they interact with community organizations on the ground
that is another group of folks who are trusted resources that are delivering service to our constituents and residents of LA City every single day, whether or not they're funded. And so I think sharing that perspective as someone who does nonprofit and community work.
As the author of the motion, can I say something really quickly in response? Yes, I completely forgot to mention, they played a critical role frontline with the pandemic, specifically providing resources directly to their communities, with the fires, specifically doing grant services. And they were actually able to reallocate some of their budgets as well as the grants in a workaround to directly fund that as well during that time. And even with the ice raids, they did direct $3,000. Yeah, well, that's speak for themselves, but those are all instrumental ways in which they support their communities in a localized way and localized fashion. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand when we're talking about council expansion and the reasons for that. Also, we have 99 of these neighborhood councils, how they're able to service their communities on that local basis. And yeah, I'll leave it.
Commissioner Yap, and then myself, Commissioner Yap.
Thank you. I always like to know what we're talking about in terms of dollars, so. Going by the general fund of $13 billion, 1/10 of 1% would be about 13 million. Divided into two, that's Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, 6.5. 6.5 divided by 99. That's about 60+ grand per year per neighborhood council. So just so we know what we're talking about.
It's actually supposed to be lower than that, it's 44.
Okay, we'll say rough. Well, let's rough. I mean, I'm just going by the 13, but anyway. So my point here is. The point here is if we are to support certain things, we know that support means resourced. That means time, that means funds, and sometimes that's unpopular, but I think even this commission has lived the under-resourced component of the management time. So I think that if in order for something to be supported, I think we must come to the reality that support means adequate funding, considering what value is being provided. So I would urge our fellow commissioners to vote in favor of setting aside this funding for the dollars that I just described. And knowing that a vote against that would be a vote effectively not in support, because support means resource. Thanks.
I'm gonna reserve my right to make an amendment. I will just echo my previous comments on the set aside and also say, funding a department in a set aside is essentially budgeting through the charter. I just don't agree with. And my amendment, which may not be friendly, is that we just have two separate votes, because what I don't want to see is that both of these fail because people are against one of them.
I would allow that. I would also want to clarify though that for the first part of the motion, and to that. When we're talking about the state law that's in effect, that doesn't extend to the committees or city commission. So I would actually like to remove that portion of the amendment.
So I don't think the amendment prevents it from being applied here. All I'm saying is that this would be applicable with relevant state law. Relevant state law does not preclude this from happening, so I don't think that's.
Okay, then I'll leave it. But yes, I'm happy to vote on both of those separately.
Okay, great. I'm gonna read 1P and then we can take a vote on it, and then just correct me if I'm wrong, commissioners. We have require that city council committees. Or to require that Brown Act compliant city council committees and city council commission meetings make provisions for neighborhood councils to comment via telephone or teleconference at all meetings of these bodies applicable with relevant state law.
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
If I may, we're gonna start.
The only clarification, I'm asking, is this if like there's a CIS, or is this just a draft? Okay, can we make sure that language is in the motion? Repeat, if this is, for valid or whatever the term is, CIS.
For approved.
Approved CIS.
CIS.
Okay.
Or are my, yeah.
Because right now, I would read it very broadly that, anyone from a neighborhood council could come and do that, but I think the intent is that it's a CIS and not an. Okay.
Yes.
After the-
CIS for guidelines, saying that they're slightly different.
Commissioner Fuentes, would you consider this friendly for approved neighborhood council CISs or RFAs?
What are they?
Yes. Our request for action.
All right. Okay, so that is motion 1B. Take a vote. Commissioner Andrades.
Yes.
Commissioner Field.
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine.
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Matt.
Yes.
Commissioner Mesa, yes. Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Commissioner Stein.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Yap.
Yes.
Okay, we now move on to item number 3, provide a dedicated funding mechanism for neighborhood council system equivalent to at least 1/10 of 1% of the city's general fund to be divided equally between the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and neighborhood councils. I'd like to call for a vote. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Levine.
I would ask commissioners just to underline what Commissioner Andrade said, which is that this commission passed a substantive reform related to budgeting for neighborhood councils moments ago. And we should give that reform time to work its way. It will create advocacy and pathways for neighborhood councils to express their view. You were in support of it. For them to express their view that they should be funded adequately, and I think that's what I would say in respect to this specific set aside, in addition to funding neighborhood councils, this would result in a significant increase in the annual budget of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I think that there could be a compelling argument that neighborhood councils serve a unique role as elected advisory bodies that perhaps should have a set aside for budget. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is a city department. And it is a pretty stark difference between $60,000 for neighborhood council and $6 million for a city department. And I wonder if this recommendation might be more effective if we remove the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment share from this recommendation and instead move forward an equivalent of 1/20th of 1% for neighborhood councils equitably.
Sure. Yeah, I'll accept that amendment. Yes.
Commissioner Field.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good idea. Could somebody tell me what the decimal point is of 1/20th? Is it 0.05?
0.005.
Yeah.
0.005, and I'm just curious, does anybody know the current amount out of our general fund that goes to the neighborhood councils?
Right now, we get 25 grand a year times 99, but it's not based on a percentage.
And this is
25 grand
not-
represents 70-something thousand people.
Right, but that's less than 0.005.
Yep, yeah.
It's less than a stamp with the water.
Okay, I just want to understand the numbers, thank you.
Doug's map, which is different than the map in the archives that you take from about 25 to 42. Yeah.
Okay, the motion, the amendment was accepted as friendly, so. Provide a dedicated funding mechanism for the neighborhood council system equivalent to 1/20th of 1% of the city's general fund to be divided to.
Yeah, just.
Between all neighborhood councils.
For neighborhood council.
Yes.
There's usually a small set aside for language translation purposes when it comes back.
All right, motion was accepted as friendly. Any further discussion?
I still underscore that we did propose, something that is, I think, very progressive with regard to neighborhood councils and budgeting.
Because they don't have to listen, we don't have to use. I'm of the same position, Commissioner Yap.
Just a quick note, yes, we did, it hasn't passed, and it's not actually effective yet. So there's chance that that will not go through city council at this point, so just a fact.
Okay, we can take a vote. Commissioner Andrades.
No.
Commissioner Field.
No.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
Commissioner Levine.
No.
Commissioner Lewis is absent. Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Commissioner Mesa votes no. Commissioner Murray.
Slide down this vote, yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
No.
Commissioner Stein. No. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Yap.
Yes.
Motion fails. All right, commissioners. The ex parte disclosures, I just want to go around the dais real quick to see if there were any ex parte disclosures that happened between your arrival and the conclusion of the meeting. Commissioner Mack. Commissioner Andrades.
No.
Commissioner Thomas.
No.
Commissioner Levine.
No.
Commissioner Stein.
No.
Commissioner Mesa, no. Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Sanchez.
No.
Commissioner Fuentes.
No.
Commissioner Yap.
No.
Commissioner Field.
No.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Mr. Chairman. I have a, statement.